What's going on, Gifted Hands family? It is Elijah here bringing you another lesson, and today we're going to be covering the last mode of this series. We've been going over all 7 modes, all 7 kind of church modes, or the major modes, right? Modes of the major scale. And we're talking about how to use them in gospel music and gospel harmony, right? So today we're covering the last one, which is going to be the Locrian mode. The Locrian mode, the ugliest sounding mode of them all, right? This is the ugly sibling, the ugly cousin, whatever you want to call it, the ugly duckling. The one that's not talked about very often, that's not used very often, right? So Locrian mode is what we're talking about today. So if we want to think about the Locrian mode, how do we think about the Locrian mode? What exactly is it, all right? So the first way to think about it is going to be just in terms of numbers, right? In terms of degrees. So it's going to be 1, flat 2 or minor 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, all right? So here's our Locrian mode. 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. So this is an extremely altered scale. Pretty much the only natural scale degrees we have is the 1 and the 4, right? Everything else is flatted. So flat 2, flat 3, flat 5, flat 6, and flat 7. Okay? And as you can hear it sounds pretty funky, right? Sounds really funky, actually. So that's our Locrian mode. One way to think about it: 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7, back to the root, right? So that's one way. But the other way to think about it is in terms of a major scale, because once again, we're talking about the modes of the major scale. So the Locrian mode is the 7th mode of the major scale, meaning that it's going to be a major scale starting on the 7th degree of that major scale, right? So what we played C Locrian, right? So essentially this is the D flat major scale, D flat major scale. But instead of starting on D flat, we're starting on the 7th scale degree, which is C. So C, no pun intended. This is the D flat major scale, if you can see it. This is the D flat major scale, just starting on C, okay? And so maybe if we're looking at C major now, the Locrian mode that we get from C major is going to be B Locrian. Why? Because remember, our Locrian mode is the 7th mode. So if we're going to the 7 of C major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. B is the 7th, so we're going to play a C major scale starting on B. So all I got to do is really just move this B to the bottom, and that gives me B Locrian. Cool. So if we were trying to find like F Locrian, we're trying to find F Locrian, all we would need to do, if we needed to find F Locrian, all we would have to do is think about the scale where F is the 7th scale degree, right? So a shortcut would be just look at F and then go up a half step. So F sharp, right? At the key of F sharp major, has technically, I guess, E sharp as our 7th scale degree. E sharp is the 7th scale degree, aka F is our 7th scale degree, right? So because E sharp or F is the 7th scale degree, we could play an F major or an F sharp major scale starting on F or starting on E sharp, and that'll give us F Locrian. Okay? So that is how we find and think about the Locrian mode. So how do we actually use the Locrian mode? If we're looking at it diatonically, and let's go back to C major, right? So if we're playing our diatonic chords, with all of the modes that we've covered so far, majority of the time, this chord, the diatonic chord that goes along with the scale degree, is going to be what matches up with that mode. Meaning, so when we're playing the 4, right, the 4th mode is a Lydian mode, right? And it's a major chord. The 4th chord is major, the 4th mode is Lydian. So a major chord and Lydian mode go together, right? Or if we're playing Dorian, the Dorian mode is the 2nd mode of a major scale. So 1, 2. So in C major, D Dorian is our 2nd mode. The 2 chord of C major is a minor chord. So like Dorian matches up with minor, right? So if we keep that kind of thinking, let's go up to the 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our seventh chord, our 7 chord in any major key is going to be a half diminished chord, or a minor 7 flat 5, right? So therefore our Locrian mode is going to match up with a half diminished chord, right? Locrian mode goes with half diminished chord. So essentially anytime we see a half diminished chord, we can think Locrian. All right, so when it comes to improvising, okay, so when we're thinking in terms of scales, like scale chord relationships, you see half diminished chord, you can match up Locrian. Cool, but I don't necessarily like to use just a regular plain old Locrian mode by itself. All right, as a matter of fact, I probably rarely, I'm not gonna say never, but 99 times out of 100 times, I'm gonna use something else instead of the Locrian mode over the half diminished chord. Okay, so what should you use, or what's my preference? All right, I'm gonna be selfish in this lesson a little bit. My personal preference is to instead of playing the Locrian mode, I like to just take the 2, which is technically like a flat 2, but in B Locrian the 2 is C, and I like to raise it up a half step, so it gives me like a natural 2. Okay, so this is what we call Locrian sharp 2, all right, or like a Locrian natural 2 mode or scale. And so why do I choose this form of the Locrian mode instead of just your basic Locrian mode? So one reason in particular, especially in gospel, so let's say we're playing like a 7, 3, 6, right? So let's say we're playing a groove, right, and it has a 7, 3, 6 in it. If I'm playing a 7, 3, 6, or 7, 3, 6, most of the time I'm not gonna play a basic, I might play a basic like a half diminished chord, but something that I kind of default to when it comes to half diminished chord is using extensions. So 2 of the extensions that we can use in a half diminished chord is going to be your 9th and your 11th, right? And these are the 2 extensions that I use most frequently when it comes to a half diminished chord. And so if I'm using these extensions, it doesn't make sense for the scale that I'm using to be playing like a flat 9 instead of the regular 9th, right? So let's say I'm playing like an extended chord, and somebody comes along and they start playing. They're playing this, and I'm playing the C sharp. I think that's a little too much tension, a little too much dissonance, right? So I just like to make things line up. So just to keep our thinking succinct, keep it in unison, right? If we're gonna play our half diminished chord with extensions, 9th and 11th, I'm just gonna make my scale, my mode that I'm playing on top of this chord match up, right? So that's gonna give us the Locrian with a sharp 2, or Locrian natural 2, okay? So that's kind of why I'm using the Locrian sharp 2, and it also just sounds a little bit better in my personal opinion, all right? Sloppy. But like I kind of like to bounce off of that, the 11 and the 9. I like to bounce off of that 9th and the 11th when I'm using the Locrian sharp 2 scale. All right, so something kind of that I like to do. So Locrian sharp 2 instead of the Locrian, just a basic plain old Locrian. So to pretty much summarize this all up, anytime that you see a half diminished chord, you can use your Locrian mode, or you can use your Locrian sharp 2 scale, right? You can use either one of those scales to create lines, to create movements, to really just be creative, right? And to embellish whatever it is that you're playing in the song. So, excuse me, essentially, what we have is anytime that there's like a minor 2-5-1 in music, right? So even if we're in C major, a lot of times we'll play a minor 2-5 to get like as a passing progression, right? So maybe we have a gospel song that lands on the 2. And if we want to get to the 2, an easy way to get to the 2 is by playing a minor 2-5 or 2-5 to get to our minor chord, right? So if I'm playing a minor 2-5 progression, my 2 chord in a minor 2-5-1 is half diminished. So voila, here's a great place to use our Locrian or our Locrian sharp 2. I prefer the Locrian sharp 2. All right, so since E minor 7 flat 5 or E half diminished is our half diminished chord, we're gonna play an E Locrian or E sharp 2 Locrian scale. So here's our Locrian sharp 2 scale. So these are the notes that we have to mess with, to use and utilize when it comes to that chord. So that's like a movement based off of that Locrian sharp 2. Right? All that was based off of our Locrian sharp 2 scale. Okay, so let's throw this in a song. Maybe like a song like "Give Thanks." Holy One. Let me see. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. All right, so and give thanks. There's a couple places we could use it at. Let's target the 3 chord. All right, so we're gonna use it trying to get to an E minor chord. So there's a couple times where we play E minor, where we play the 3 chord in this song, Give Thanks. We got give thanks with a grateful heart. So we hit it here, but we're gonna wait till we land on an E minor chord. Give thanks to the Holy One. So there's one right there. Give thanks because he's given. And then we go to like a C over E. So we could also kind of make a progression to go here, since this is technically the 3 in the bass. All right, so let's try that. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Thanks to the Holy One. Okay, so that's a minor 2-5 to take us to the 3 chord. Because he's given, and then we do it again. Because he's given, right, to the 3. So a couple times we were playing like a 2-5. Well, this is technically a minor 2-5 to get to E minor. Okay. Let's look at how we can use that Locrian sharp 2 scale over our F sharp half diminished chord. So we got F sharp half diminished, right? And so our F sharp Locrian is this. Here's our F sharp Locrian, sharp 2. So let's see. We got give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks to the whole. Give thanks. So we can use it right there. Give thanks and give thanks. So if we're doing to the Holy, right, or whatever the words are, give thanks. So we got here F sharp. All that is based off of our Locrian sharp 2 scale. Okay, so that's just kind of one quick way that you can use it. Or if you're staying on that any type of half diminished chord for a little bit longer, But yeah, if you're staying on any half diminished chord for more than like a beat, because it moves very quick in that song, but any song where you're hitting the half diminished chord, you have some time, you can create a movement, you can create a lick. All right, you can create a lick, you can create a line, you can create a motif or a melody using that Locrian sharp 2 scale. All right, so that's all I got for you today. That is all 7 modes. We covered the Locrian mode today, and we've hit all the other 6 modes over these last couple of weeks. So I hope you really enjoyed this. If you did, drop a comment down below if you got any ideas on more series. I really enjoyed doing this series on the modes. So if y'all have ideas on what series breakdowns you would like to see, theory topics, albums, album breakdown, songs, whatever. Let me know some of y'all suggestions down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. All right. But we will be back next week, as always, with more lessons, more tutorials, more videos, and song breakdowns. If you haven't already, please check out the Gifted Hands Academy. If you really enjoyed this series on the modes, I have way more information, in-depth lessons, especially on like how to practice the modes, how to learn the modes, different ways to apply them other than these. There's more information in our academy on modes if you're interested in that, as well as hundreds of song breakdowns. No exaggeration, hundreds. We have hundreds of song breakdowns. We got some gospel stuff in there. We have jazz, we have neo soul, we have even some pop songs as well. All right, so check out the Gifted Hands Academy if you are interested in really improving your playing. I just gave you some quick tips here today and over this series, but if you want a step-by-step guide, if you want a step-by-step kind of track to take your playing from beginner to intermediate or intermediate to advanced, and you need help with the steps to get to that next level, Gifted Hands Academy is the place to be. All right, so check that out. Link is in the description. Other than that, though, y'all have a great night, have a great day, whatever time it is that you're watching this video. I will see you in the very next lesson.